Hey everybody, it's Chris Jesty here, this time with Pirate, and we're going to be doing long awaited another match casting, finally. Seems like it's been forever, hasn't it, Pirate?
Yeah, it's been a good hot minute. Love mixing up variety, but let's get back to some basic stompy action.
That's right. This week, we've got a match featuring our own high command, Sam, also known as Desert Dream in the Discord on occasion. And he's going to be playing Luke, also known as Freewoodley Guard, on the Discord.
I'm really excited about seeing this match because those are two people that are just really super chill and awesome guys, and seeing them go at it would be a good mix up from the normal cheese that you and I throw at each other.
Oh yeah, this should be a much more fair fight.
Well, it's just different styles. It's like, I'm tired of listening to classical. I want to go watch some punk rock from the 60s in London, that kind of difference.
Oh yeah, God save the Queen, baby. So now, Pirate, one thing about this match is it is an Operation Klondike Week 1 match. So how has Operation Klondike been going so far?
It's been going good. I've been happy with the turnout, and we've got a pretty even spread on the list. I was afraid possibly that everyone would choose the same clan or that everyone would kind of pile up on the same, invasion group. But so far, we have, with week one, a lot of good practice games have been played. And then starting with week two soon, the invasion groups are pretty evenly spread out, so should be able to do a variety of opponents and see some really good mech on mech action from an era that pretty much none of us ever play.
Yeah, very true. Looking at the list types here, it looks like we have a pretty good spread. Looks like only one person decided to go a full assault lance, and that seems to be Vapor. Imagine that.
There's something to be said about heavy metal, but if you take a look at it a little deeper, he's got a lot of inner sphere mechs there, but then you've got a lot of mediums, a lot of clan mechs like the Coidal, the Locust 2C appears in a bunch of places. It's been interesting seeing people choose stuff like that. Drift Shag, you've got. I love that mech, but it took me forever to figure out what does it actually look like.
Yeah, it's actually based off the Falcon, if I remember correctly. It's like a 2C version of the Falcon, pretty much.
Yeah, and this is the part I love about this era. Besides it having Clan Mongoose, the best clan, and they will tell you as much. It also is this weird era where they're kind of figuring stuff out. Even the lore was retconned a bunch of times. Well, not retconned, but added upon. Look at things like the Annihilator just spoofing into existence. But nothing was really settled, so there's a bunch of weird things in here that took a lot of us by surprise, like improved medium lasers, not improved heavy lasers, improved medium lasers.
Yeah, there's definitely some tech that you don't see pretty much anywhere else. It's a very small window where a lot of this stuff exists. Like, I don't think that the Night Chanter, which has been popular, or the Spirit Walker, which is an Omni Black Knight, continue past this era.
No, they don't, because they basically went, great, we can modify the crab. Now we're going to move to Omni technologies and build whole new variants. So they didn't need a lot of this stuff, like improved SRMs. They didn't really need that as soon as they moved past this era. So a lot of stuff that exists only here.
Yeah, exactly. So the lists are quite interesting. Some of them are fairly balanced, some of them are not. So it's going to be an objective based tournament. So combat score doesn't really mean all that much when objectives are on the line.
Correct. So with week two is going to be the trial of position, where it'll be based off of a stand-up fight, but it's based numerically on mechs. Week three will be a King of the Hill style match with a small twist on it. And then week four is just a whole lot of spicy stand-up fight, but with a objective on making sure all of your mechs get a kill in a vacuum, on low gravity, in double blind. So
Ooh, wow, that just kept going.
it just keeps going. So I'm real excited to see that. But this is the natural progression. Week one, I wanted everybody to have a chance to practice out a bunch of lists, even see if they wanted to play at all, because not everybody is necessarily going to. This might be the first foray they have into a competitive tournament. It might be the first thing they have into a organized format play instead of just the local game store. So week one is pretty laid back. This is one of those matches where it was like, just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks and just have a lot of fun. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure everybody was, getting games in.
Yeah, I got quite a few games in. Not as many as I would have liked. I think I only got like maybe 3, maybe 4. I was hoping to get at least 5 or 6, but I just didn't have the time during the week, unfortunately. But a lot of people have been getting games in for week one, so it seems like everybody's pretty excited. In fact, I would gladly get more games in for week two if it were possible, but I think it's only one game per week going forward, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Now, feel free to practice outside the event, but for the narrative event itself, everybody gets their one, actual game in, and then we will average all the scores for the invasion group at the end of the week, and then that'll be like your invasion group's score. So even if you got a turkey of a game and you're like, oh, man, I only got like 3 points off of this honor points, well, your opponent or your teammate got 17, so you know what? It starts averaging out, which is really what I wanted to focus on was everybody get games in, and everybody feel a little less stress about trying to be the number one in the tournament. Let's just make this a fun kind of pre-summer event after all of the ranked matches we've had so far.
Yeah, I agree. This is very low stress, very low entry point for just getting some games in, and I like it.
Other balancer was because a lot of us don't know a lot of these mechs. There's all sorts of random stuff we could take, things we didn't know about, some pre-generated maps that I see locally being used, but we don't do pre-gens as much. And I really liked how we did it in 2Kid, but I specifically wanted to make sure that this was kind of a balancer because in the later eras, some of us are like, yeah, Dasher H, Jump 7 Pulse, something with precision AC 10s. We could build a list kind of ad hoc from most MULs, but there's so
Yeah,
much weird stuff here. It's more of it's so chaotic. Even people who are veterans are like, what's that? What's that? Ooh, I don't even know what that is, but I want to take it because it looks fun. And that's what I wanted to throw out here. Something that wasn't just, like Ash Ketchum trying to be the very best.
yeah, yeah. That's a good analogy there. So speaking into things that look fun, why don't we get a start on getting through some of these mechs and these lists?
All right. So yeah, let's take a look here. So at the start here, we have is this your list? Oh,
No, actually, this is hang on, let me minimize.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this of course is Sam and Luke. And I know Luke because Luke has got a bunch of crabs.
Yeah, so Sam's list is going to be the light list on top, and Luke is going to be the crabs. You are correct.
Well, let's take a look at Sam's list here because I admit I've seen the Hermes. I know it's fast, and I know of the Hussar and the Spectre, but I've never actually looked at any of these mechs. So if I'm looking at the Hermes 1SB here, it is a 91418, so yeah, it's fast. It's a 30 tonner with max armor at 105 and decently spread. It can take a medium laser pretty much anywhere without going internal, except the head. But, sorry, no, that is the head. That's the internal armor. But it is 1, 2, 3, 4 medium lasers, a flamer in the left arm, a small laser in the head, and an active probe. So that's actually a pretty decent looking mech.
Yeah, actually, funnily enough, I played Sam with I think it was either my previous list or yeah, because I saw this Hermes that he was using and I was like, "Oh man, that thing is brutal. I need to get me one of those." So playing Sam made me change my list. This mech is good. You'll notice that he's got a 1/1 pilot in here because he's using 3 light mechs, which means he can pump these boys up all the way to 1-1, and he's still got 100 battle value left over.
Yeah, so with 3 mechs apiece, usually we do a range in MRC of 2 to 6 units and up to a certain BV. But the way this tournament's working, because the BV will change over time along with the number of mechs, you need at least 3 units. And in order to do a light formation to score some extra honor points for underbidding your weight, you're going to have ace pilots, but it's actually a struggle to get 3 mechs in this era up to over 6,500 BV. So I'm sure he probably had to choose that Spectre as well just to get some weight to the thing.
Yeah, definitely. The Spectre. Let's get into the Hussar, next one down, because this one's a 30 tonner as well as the Hermes. So this one's also at 1-1. This one also moves 914, but it doesn't have the mask, so that Hermes can distance it from the Hussar just a little bit. It doesn't have quite max armor, 98 out of 105, so it's not shabby either. It's got nothing but an ER large laser. That's it. And an active probe and an ECM. It's got one weapon.
So
So
I've heard the Hussar described, and I think it was Black Pants Legion, or somebody, maybe Big Red 40 Tech. They describe the Hussar as like an awful, awful, awful mech that's going to get his pilots killed because it has like no armor, and that's not this thing. It's got nearly max armor, 98 out of 105 ferrofibrous for a 30 tonner, and it's got an ER large. So this is basically a speedy light Hollander for as much as I care.
yeah, and that 914 is no joke. If you run every turn and make sure you get up to 10 hexes moved, not, total movement spent, but actual number of hexes that you move through, you can keep yourself at a +4 movement mod, which is real good, especially if you're sniping from far away with a large laser, an ER large laser. Mind you, it's an inner sphere ER large laser because this is an inner sphere standard mech, but that's still a decent range. It's still decent damage, and you're a 1-1 pilot. So even running, you only go up to a 3 base.
So here's another way to look at it with that 1-1 pilot is to hit this unit. Let's say you don't even get a 4. Let's say you walk and you still get a modifier of 3 by moving at least 7 hexes. All right, 3 target number, +4 for long range on most of the weapons here, 7s. Most enemies you're going to be going up against, probably 3 at best. You're at 10s already. They got 10s to hit you. You're probably hitting them in medium range with that ER large. So 1 +2, 3, 1 for walking, 4. It give them 2 for a target number, 6s. So 10s against 6s, it's not a bad trade off.
Not at all. So with the piloting and gunnery so low on this mech, I think it's okay. It's pricey for what it is. There's probably something better out there that's also going to have a large laser on it and maybe some more weapons for backup or slightly more armor, but it's quick. So I think this is okay. I don't hate it, but I'm not in love with it either.
Oh yeah, I would not run this in like a standard MRC match, but one thing to also consider is on week 3, I don't know if Sam was thinking about this, but on week 3, it's an underwater portion of the map where you need to get to the center of the map, and underwater a lot of weapons don't work and lasers are halved. This could be something that could get to the center there pretty quickly, but also if it didn't, it could at least hit something underwater with that ER large, where most of the other units could probably only shoot like 3 or 4 hexes max.
Yeah, that's very true. You can definitely reach out and touch something even underwater. So he should be getting some good use out of this on week 3 for sure.
But no, I agree with you. In a standard MRC match, I'd rather have something with a lot more chunk at the expense of some of that gunnery skill, just to be able to, I don't know, survive or have more than just a one-trick pony. So this is great for what it is, getting the extra honor points and being a light mech. But yeah, this is not something I would take to a standard event.
Oh, also one thing to note, I do believe Sam is Clan Ice Hellion, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, yes, he is.
That's just a fun clan known for its sheer ferocity and speed and quick decision making and no foresight at all. So I love it.
I consider them the Ricky Bobby clan. Gotta go fast.
You know, not wrong.
All right, getting into the last mech on Sam's list, it's that Spectre SPR 4F you mentioned earlier.
So hold on. What the heck is that? All right, before I get to that, um, 7117, very good loadout for a 35 tonner on the movement profile. 119 out of 119, heavily armored. I'm seeing a trend here with heavily armored mechs. And it's got two mediums and a large laser. Nice, but that's not what I got surprised by when I first opened up this mech, and I'm sure you see it towards the bottom in the equipment.
Oh yeah, I fought this mech and I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, so a chameleon light polarization shield in the left leg, along with a null signature system. That's before you get to the ECM Guardian, and this is still doesn't say a specialty armor type, but what the heck is this? I'm gonna have to pull up Sarda.
Yeah, it's an experimental inner sphere mech. If I'm not mistaken, you need the ECM suite in order to utilize the null signature system and the chameleon light polarization shield. Uh, I don't even know if you need both of those, or if they're mutually exclusive, or how they work together. I know the null signature system gives you a TMM bonus at medium and long range, if I'm not mistaken.
So it does. So it looks like it's a variation of stealth armor. You have +1. It basically says it screws with the heat sinks in order to mask the infrared signature. So +1 at medium range, +2 at long and extreme ranges. But it does generate 10 points of heat while active.
And he's got 20 heat sinks. I mean, he can jump for 7, so I mean, he doesn't have that many heat sinks. If he jumps, keeps his null sig up, and fires a medium laser, he's breaking even. So he's gonna have to pick and choose what he does each turn. He may be alternating the null sig system, maybe alternating jumping, or just letting the null sig ride and just running all game.
Now it does say that you can't use you can't use a targeting computer um, or C3 or C3I or a satellite uplink system. I'm going to figure out what that is. A satellite uplink. I've never seen that. But you can't mount a targeting computer with a null signature system, but you can mount the um, chameleon light polarization shield, which requires a Guardian ECM for additional modifiers. So besides just +1 at medium, +2 at long, this mech also gets an additional +1 at medium, +2 for long for that null signature field.
Well, that explains that. Granted, when I was shooting at this mech, I was shooting at it point blank because I'm also in a bunch of light mechs that are extremely zippy. So I was able to get in under that effective range of that system. But against these medium mechs, that might be real big, especially against that Crab 27B that Luke's going to be running. That's basically a long range sniper. So he might not be able to utilize his sniper effectively against that Spectre.
Yeah, I mean, regular inner sphere medium laser, medium range is 5 to 8. So at 8 hexes, for a lot of units in this tournament, you're going to be a +2, and anything beyond that, you're a +4 to hit before you even get to modifiers.
Okay, so the Chameleon Light is an additional 6 heat, and the null signature system is 10 heat.
Correct.
So that means he's dropping 16, or he could, not necessarily is. We'll see what he decides to do. But he could be dropping 16 of his 20 heat sinks on these stealth systems to give himself a +4 to hit at long range and a +2 at medium.
Yeah, and it looks like this chameleon light polarization shield says that it was mostly carried on the Exterminator and went with the Exodus. So Somebody else is taking an exterminator, at least one this round or tournament. I'll have to go see if this is on anybody else's list. But yeah, that's a fun, nasty little trick to pull up someone's sleeve. But again, it's the early eras. This is stealth armor before stealth armor existed, but apparently you can cheese it with extra equipment.
This seems better than stealth armor. Oh, at least the chameleon light polarization. 6 heat for a +2 at long and +1 at medium. Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a feeling he's just going to run the chameleon light polarization shield, and then he'll have enough heat to jump and shoot his weapons, at least a little more freely if he does that. I'd be surprised if he decides to turn them both on this match, outside of maybe the very first turn or two.
Well, and at 2500 BV for two mediums and a large laser. Now, granted, that was before you even started, but all of these light lists are, I think, going to struggle to put damage out. Like, they'll hit a lot, but hitting with really anemic weaponry is still, eh.
The name of the game is rear arcs. You have to get in the rear in order to put them in the ground faster than they put you in the ground. If you can't get in the rear arc, you're better off hiding and ducking and staying into trees and giving really high TMMs until you can get in the rear arc. Just plinking away at a crab or a heavy mech with a light mech in the front arc or side arcs isn't really going to do you any favors. Granted,
That's
over the course of maybe 15 turns, you can chew through it, but that's a big if you make it that long.
that's true. And an unintended consequence is high piloting skill and gunnery skill light mechs. There's more than one list like that. So someone else who goes, aha, I'll have a really speedy list and no one can hit me. Well, a bunch of 1-1 pilots rolling up will ruin that pretty quick.
Oh yeah, it was a bloodbath when Sam and I played. I think the match was over in like 4 or 5 turns, just because every single shot of ours was almost hitting.
Damn.
Yeah, brutal and quick. But that's enough about Sam's list. Let's get into Luke's list. He's actually only got 2 different mechs on here, so it'll be a little quicker to get through. But he does have a crab CRB-27B.
Yeah, so that's the royal variant of the crabs with the B there means, correct?
Correct. Little B, 90% of the time means it's a royal variant. I don't think I've seen a little B on anything that's not a royal variant, but I could be wrong, and I'm not willing to take that chance.
So I'm guessing the difference here between the regular 27 is this has, instead of 2 large lasers, it has 2 ER large lasers, a medium and a small. It's got double heat sinks for 32 instead of 16 capacity. It's a 5.8 with near max 161 out of 169 armor. This is, I don't really like ER large inner sphere lasers for the heat to damage return, but he's got the heat sinks for it. And crabs are just durable. There's no ammo to explode. They're pretty chunky. They're pretty fast for those target numbers. That's a good mech.
Yeah, I agree. He can generate 30 heat if he fires everything and runs, and he's got 32 heat sinks. So he's slightly oversunk, which is not the worst thing in the world. I mean, he could shave a heat sink off this and put a ton worth of something else, not armor, because you're 161 out of 169, so that'd kind of be a waste. So I'm not upset that it's oversunk. I'll take it. Also, one thing to note, this is a 250 standard fusion engine. That means he can lose a torso and he's still going to be fully operational. And since we're using the NFL format rules, he can still zombie around the map effectively. You could take out both torsos and he can still shoot that medium laser and small laser at you. He's not going to be down until you take out that center torso or the pilot with a headshot or pilot hits.
Yeah, I usually am a fan of the regular force withdrawal rules, but Mega Mech does make it harder to do backsies. You can't if you accidentally don't do force withdrawal, and having Berserker clan pilots kind of fits the bill. And some people they got guns, they want to shoot them. So with the NFL and the force withdrawal rules, you are going to have zombies, like you said, and the crab could be one walking around missing half of a torso, but still effectively being 75% operational. Losing a ER large isn't going to be that big of a deal because that medium laser is in the center and the small laser is in the head.
Yeah, and even if you do lose that side, I mean, it's not that big a deal. It's not like you're taking engine hits. One thing to note, this is a 1-2 pilot, so he is going to be very accurate with this bad boy. He sunk a lot of points into this. Granted, they're all medium mechs, so uh, he can afford to bump the pilot and gunnery skill on these. But man, a 1-2 on that bad boy, looking at Sam's lights at 1-1, whew, I think that's a real good investment right there.
Yeah, that you know, you notice though, that's the 1-2 with the ER large, and it's at 2642 at 1-2. The next two Night Chanters, they're only 500 BV less, but they're two less on both the gunnery and the piloting. That tells you how much more expensive those Chanters are.
Oh yeah, and I think they're worth every penny of it. We'll get into it
Mm,
right now. So these are one of the biggest differences is they're a standard clan design, which means there's case everywhere, uh, and all the tech in it is going to be clan tech. That includes all the weapons, which we'll get into shortly. The Night Chanter Prime has the same movement profile, 5'8". It's got a slightly smaller engine, which is kind of funny, but I guess it's a clan engine, so they get to go faster, I guess. Uh,
it's also
but
a
it's
40-ton mech, so at 40 tons, you probably don't need as much engine.
oh yeah, good call. 45 tons means you do need a smaller engine to get that same speed. That's why. Okay, I completely glossed over the fact that it's 5 tons lighter. But that being said, it's got almost as many heat sinks. It's sitting at 28 heat sinks. It's got 144 out of 153 armor. Not quite as armored as the regular standard crab, but still respectable for its weight. And the weaponry. Ooh, that is nasty. It's got a large pulse laser, an ER large laser, a medium pulse laser, and two ER smalls. Uh, that is a clan large pulse laser, good sir. And that is a clan medium pulse laser as well. So those two weapons alone can reach out and touch something, and they immediately drop your gunnery back down to a 1. So I don't think he's too upset having to leave these two Night Chanter Primes at 3-4 because of that large pulse laser and medium pulse laser, of course.
Yeah, and I mean this is a really exciting mech for this era because it's a crab which is already popular, put on steroids with clan tech, in an era where you're fighting a lot of inner sphere tech, but also it's a night chanter. That just sounds amazing and bad A already.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the best names for a mech.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you compare it to like the Locust or, you know, the Panther even. Okay, Panther's kind of cool, but Night Chanter just sounds menacing and evil, and it fits the era of desperation that the clans had out there while they were, you know, trying to re-establish themselves as a viable entity and not just self-destruct.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a story behind this mech, and there's also a reason why it doesn't continue on into the future, because that's when they start making real Omni mechs. But with that being said, I think that about covers it for the mechs themselves. How do you feel about each player's list? Which one do you think might have a leg up on the other?
Not knowing the outcome of this at all, I want to say I'm thinking the Crabs will win it, partly because they have armor and partly because of those large pulse lasers to just wing those lighter mechs. But additionally, the um, the Crab is just iconic for a reason, and I think you know, I just think the extra armor and weapons is going to outpace those lighter mechs.
Yeah, I agree. I also am worried about those large pulse lasers tagging these extremely light mechs uh, at a base 1 gunnery after the pulse bonus. That is very scary for Sam's list. I would be hard pressed to even threaten this list with my own list, which is very similar to Sam's.
So one thing to note though is there is something to be said about meme magic and just having fun with the list. And this looks like something that Luke went, this is going to be fun. I was going to take a bunch of crabs and have fun with it. So I think he's going to have a leg up. Also, just because this was an enjoyable list to build and play.
Yeah, I agree. Three crabs is not something you get to do every day, unless you're taking a king crab, in which case you're in a whole nother ballpark.
Hey, Hermit Crab, Ill Clan gang, go.
That's true. Yeah, I don't can't forget about the Hermie baby. All right. Well, I think that just about does it for the pregame. I think we can just go ahead and get right into it, Pirate. Unless there's anything else you think we need to talk about.
So with week one, the maps are not necessarily set. The objectives aren't even necessarily set. So while I figured most people would do stand-up fight, you can choose pretty much any map as long as the players agree. Some of the suggestions were do the NFL randomly generated maps or choose some of the Battle of Tukid packs because those are popular at the NashCon events. So there's a lot of variation. You could even just choose some of the beginner box maps and put them together. I don't know which one they chose for this, but the idea was kind of be loosey, kind of be free with where you want to do your bunch of Bachals and Trials of Grievance week one. So be interesting to see where they end up playing.
Yeah, one thing to note is I just double checked the list. This particular triple crab list that Luke is running is not the list he decided to go with for week two. So during week one, you were allowed to change lists in between matches and decide on a mech on a final list at the end of the week. And he changed his list completely to a Lynx 9Q and two Griffin 2Ns. So maybe this match doesn't go his way. We'll take a we'll get into it. This is just an interesting note. I figured I'd throw it out there. Also, Luke is fighting for Clan Steel Viper.
The I know why he changed his list. It wasn't because of this match, but we can save the spoiler to the end if you like.
Yeah, yeah, I like surprises. All right, so it looks like Luke won or lost initiative, so he has to place first. So Sam will be placing second. If I'm not mistaken, I'm quite familiar with this map. This should be the deployment zone.
You are correct. This is Deployment Zone, 17 by 32. Again, Battle of Tukid Pack. I like this map because it has very basic mechanics with line of sight blocking, some rough, some woods. You can set up in such a way that you can't necessarily see your enemy's deployment zone on turn one. Um, I think at all. There's something causing an issue, but this is a I like this map because it's just simple. It's not fancy, but it does have extra mechanics in it.
Yeah, I've actually grown pretty fond of this map. I think it's one of the more balanced, standard out of the box maps that's out there. There are some very heinous maps, especially in the Tukid map pack. But I've this one's growing on me. I think this one's good. Uh, there might be some. I do have a little bit of qualms with it. Like maybe there could be a little more cover in the dead middle of the map, but there is something to be said about actually having firing lines.
And I think that there's almost nowhere you can get partial cover because everything here is like 2 levels tall. So you can't necessarily sit on a hill somewhere with trees and partial cover behind a hill because if you've got partial, there is no partial cover.
The only place there is any actual partial cover is at the very edges of the map. And even then, you'll be on level 4, which is essentially level 1. It's in the top right corner. We can't see it from here. But if Sam were to scroll up a little bit, because we're watching this from his perspective, you can see that there's a hill over there that's actually only level 5.
Gotcha. But
Yeah, you can see it just there in the corner.
now, one thing to note is Sam's got his Hermes selected. Do you see how far that thing can run?
Yeah, and he is up against the wall. He can make it past the halfway point of this map. If he started 2 X's up, he could go even further. But he is as far back as he can possibly be, and he can clear his whole side of the map in one turn.
So I was saying the crabs look fun to play. That movement profile right there makes me consider that this one might actually be the one that's more fun to play.
I will say the Hermes is basically a primitive tech dasher. It is very, very fun and very, very quick, and also significantly more armored than a dasher. You can actually take a couple hits with this Hermes and still be a credible threat. Those medium lasers doing 5 damage each. You got a total of 20 damage just in your medium lasers, and then add a little more with the flamer and the small lasers. You can hit up to 24 damage in the rear arc if you can flank something.
And you're not paying the +1 penalty for it being a heavy small for a Dasher H. So, you know, somewhere in this 2 pound box of Iron Wind wish lists I bought for funsies, I think there might be a Hermes. I might have to dig him out now that you say that.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy using this mech. It's actually in my Tuki Heat list. And it's because I played Sam, like I mentioned earlier. I was thoroughly impressed with it. So we'll go ahead and fast forward a bit here until somebody makes a move. Oh, there we go. It looks like Luke moved his Night Chanter, or one of his Night Chanters up. Looks like number one. He's in no man's land. He's got zero cover, and I don't think he's worried about it because that Hermes has no weapons that can reach him.
Well, not only that, it's he's got a direct line of sight with no trees blocking him because one thing about this map is there's a lot of trees that can block line of sight, so it is a great line of sight teaching map. But yeah, that Night Chanter is a clear shot on that Hermes.
Yeah, and also that Hussar that just moved up to be next to the Hermes. So I I want to say I don't like this movement from the Hermes from Sam. Uh he's out exposed in no man's land with zero cover and zero rebuttal on any of these long range shots that might be coming his way. I would have liked to see him go north and hide behind that hill over there, or stay further south and hide behind these trees. That way he doesn't get shot at for free on turn one. Granted, Luke's probably going to have really bad numbers, but giving him the shot, period, is not something you should be doing.
Now, one thing to also bear in mind, I don't know if it'll come up in this match, but Beagle active probes are usually a waste. There's not a lot of situations in a skirmish format that you'll use a active probe for like hidden units or something. But we play with the advanced rule that is part of core, so it makes it into MRC. NFL variant is Beagle active probes give you a -1 to shoot units in woods. I wonder if we're going to see a lot of people hiding in woods here to try to take advantage of that, which slows down your movement modifier, and we see that active probe on the Hermes come into play at all.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So far, Luke has decided not to utilize any woods, and neither has Sam, which is a little worrying for him. He needs all the TMM he can get with these light mechs to try and dodge some of these lasers coming his way.
I don't know. That Spectre probably has like a +17 with all the crap it has running on it. It's probably fine.
Oh, hang on. What happened there? Oh,
Did we skip the firing phase entirely because nobody
I,
shot?
I, I highly doubt that. Hang on. So there's some funky stuff going on with this recording, but we'll go ahead and get into the combat log because I guarantee you there was some shooting round one.
What's that? The Clan Ice Hellion pilot didn't want to show his shame, so he deleted the recording?
That could be it.
You know what? I was joking, but I'm seeing what you're seeing here, and I don't think I'm wrong.
So the Night Chanter number one nails the Hussar in the right leg with a large pulse laser. That's what we were worried about. He needed 11s on that ER large and only 9s on the pulse. So that's a huge difference when it comes to percent chance to hit.
Hmm.
And oh, that's, you hate to see it. The Hussar only needed a 6 to fire back at that crab, and he missed with the 5. The rest, not too much really going on. Ooh, I take that back.
Take that back. That crab, that royal crab, the 1-2 pilot, ER large hits the head of the Hussar. 8 damage to the head, 1 armor remaining, but he saves his consciousness check. And then he hits the left arm and crits out the upper and lower arm actuators of the Hussar. Now, that Hussar doesn't have anything there, so that's okay, but still a problem.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage going on that Hussar round one. And this is exactly what I was talking about. You have no business giving these free shots. Granted, the Hussar can shoot at long range with its one weapon, but uh, I mean, he did need 11, or he needed eights, which is not great. You need to be in a forest if you're going to be giving yourself up to shots, so that that way he at least needs nines. He would have missed one of those shots that crippled his arm if he would have been in a forest.
Well, that same Hussar only needed a 6, and it still missed its shot, so maybe he thought he was a bit safer than he was.
Yeah, yeah. But at least all those shots put on the Hussar, not anything else. The Hussar can fall back and utilize its range.
Hmm.
All right. Well, no physical attacks for that turn. And the Spectre's at 6 heat, which means he's using that light polarization, uh, chameleon light polarization, to give himself that +2 at long and +1 at medium.
Is there a certain tactic you like to do during opening moves? Because I see a lot of players do similar things turn one. We always talk about, oh, everybody's going to miss their shot or everybody's running. But is there a certain meta or reason do you think that a lot of people charge towards the middle of the field as fast as they can or try to set up a gun line, or is that just basic common sense?
No, I think it has to do with some of the mechs that they're using. Like the Hermes wants to get up as far as it possibly can, and then have options as to where it's going next turn. This turn was just a setup turn for that Hermes. And the same could be said for the Spectre as well. 7-11-7, that Spectre can jump and get behind one of those crabs if they get too close. So the Hermes is definitely going booty hunting, as it were, and the Spectre's likely going to follow suit with that Hussar standing back and poking from range, is my guess. So I don't really like the Hussar moving up to the middle of the map like that. I'd like to see it out on the edges because it has their range. But the Hermes and the Spectre, I understand getting them into the middle of the map. I just don't like where in the middle of the map he got them to. I would have much rather preferred if they were down 2 or 3 hexes in that forest down there, or just adjacent to the forest. That way they at least get cover, and Luke doesn't get free shots on them like this.
I'd agree with that.
But now that he's up in the middle of the map, he can go wherever he wants. That Hussar is also 914 or something like that, and the Hermes is I don't think he used his mask turn one, so he'll be able to zip wherever he wants this turn. But
Well, let's see. I think that let's see where that Spectre goes. Up north, I'm guessing he jumped the way he's focused firing. And do you notice that he jumped behind woods?
yeah, so he's in woods and he's behind woods, so that crab's got to come out and expose itself if it even wants a decent shot at that Spectre. And it looks like the movement phase was a little skipped here. The Hermes and the Hussar both fell back while the Spectre stayed out, probably utilizing its chameleon light polarization shield and maybe waiting for the crabs to close the distance. That way he can get better flanking maneuvers on the Hermes and the Hussar.
It's a trap. That exactly like you said. He's put the Spectre all the way up north so that the crabs try to chase him, and then that Hussar, which took a really scary hit on the arm, that and the Hermes can just kind of come out into those woods next turn with the high TMM and start trying to get some back shots.
Yeah, exactly. So I guarantee you Luke's going to have real bad shots on that Spectre. But
Well, he jumped, he's behind woods, and he's also shooting at things that have a target number of at least 2. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little worried about that, about the pulse lasers hitting. I mean, the -2 is is nasty. Oh, he needs 10s and 12s. Even with the large pulse, he needs 12. So maybe he turned on both the light polarization and the null sig system, and he's not really planning on firing back. Actually,
Uh,
yeah, that's exactly what happened. He didn't fire back at all.
Smart. If you're going to have bad shots, don't fire.
Yeah, and he's at 9 heat on that Spectre. So he gained 23 heat that turn, which means he had to jump and he had to use his null sig and light polarization. That was a nice play.
Mm.
Well done, Sam. And all the shots from those crabs completely whiffed, needing 12s and like not 10s or 11s. So that is some good bait right there. So now we're getting into turn 3 because there wasn't much of a combat log to speak of. But I'm curious to see where he goes next with that Spectre because he needs to stay out of short range for his own safety. And those
Uh,
crabs can move 5'8", so they're no slouches.
I would think the Spectre would either jump last to try to get a rear shot on a crab, but that's dangerous given those pulse lasers are in the arms, or it would jump further north and further to the east to try to draw the crab further out so that that flanking maneuver we talked about can take place. But instead, he's backed up the Hussar into some woods. He's going to have a intervening terrain of some sort the way he positioned it from either the one adjacent to it or in the middle of the field, but I think he's going to try to snipe with that thing from the position there.
Yeah, he's in a light woods as well, so that'll help out a little bit. So I would much rather have preferred to see him in a light woods turn 1. That way he would have saved himself a little bit of damage.
Well, he moved 7, so he's at +3. In woods +4. At least one intervening +5. So
Yeah.
he'll be okay.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay this turn, but those crabs can move up for quite a bit and get into medium range, maybe, with their large pulse lasers.
Um, I want to see those crabs just go at it. You know, like the bad guys from the last Aquaman tribe, where they just come out of the deep and start screaming.
So the Night Chanter 1 moved up to midfield at about the same level that these other crabs are, but it's down south behind forest cover. And it looks like Sam's going to play defensive. Never mind, changed his mind. He's going to jump north. Ooh, I don't know if I like that.
Um, you know what would be interesting is to just simply take a crab and crab, you're going to go murder that one particular light mech, because if you can keep them from from trying to hide, then you don't have your death ball kind of wobbling all over the place. If you just have one crab dedicated to one mech, that is a valid tactic.
Yeah, and the crab should win that face off. You're worried about that light mech getting in your rear, but you do have a large pulse laser in one of your arms that you can just wrist flip and nail them with. So it's very dangerous for them to go for your rear arc. They're going to have to gamble basically and hope they can put in more damage on you than you will put on them.
So the Royal Crab has 686 on the rear armor, and the Night Chanter looks like it has 454. So the crab is actually going to be the more durable one here.
Yeah, the standard crab is a little bit heavier, so it's going to be able to carry a little bit more armor, but it's also got the longest range. So and the best gunnery skill out of all of them.
I don't know if I like that move that Sam was thinking about there,
No,
but
no, no, don't do it.
he's going for the rear shot.
No, don't do it, Sam. It's not worth it. If you're gonna go over the top, you need to go over the top with everybody. I don't think you can send one mech out there, go for the rear arc, and pray that you dodge all the shots from all 3 of these crabs that are going to be coming your way.
Right, left arm turn, and then that other crab at the north, it might just even stand still and just torso twist.
True. It doesn't even have to turn, I don't think, to hit you with both of its ER larges. Maybe. It might have to turn.
Uh, if he's going to there, yes, he'd have to
Oh,
turn and then torso towards. Oh, he's going to do it.
he
Go
did
for it.
it. Oh man, the cojones on this man. Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. Something just metal hit the floor in a, Hall of Honor somewhere. Yep,
Yeah.
that was when that Hermes made that ballsy move.
Oh man. I, I would have not made that move in a million years, but good lord, hopefully it pays off for him. He
Um,
should be in short range with all those medium lasers that he's got on that Hermes. So I hope they all hit for his sake.
Hopefully, those other Night Chanters ran. They're only going to have one large pulse from each of those headed at you. And if you're going to do that where the enemy still has a mech to move, the crab is the right one to do it, given that he's going to not have those pulse lasers. And that crab is in kicking range.
He moved up into melee. That's not good. That is a 1-2 crab, my friend. He is 90% chance going to hit that kick. It might be like 80% or whatever, but it's very likely that he's going to hit that kick.
Well, he's also cosplaying Ice Hellion Tactics at the moment for that Hermes, so I can respect that.
Yeah, the Hermes is definitely an Ice Hellion, true and true. The Hussar and the Spectre, on the other hand, they might live longer than their clan did. At least that's a decent rear shot with the Hussar on the standard Crab 27B.
Oh,
The,
you're right.
the Spectre, on the other hand, though, is completely out of the fight this turn. I don't think any of his weapons can reach or see anything. Yep, he's got no shots.
That's a good objective grabber, and I think it'll do really well on week 3. But I'm kind of
Ooh.
concerned that if you're going to constantly have the null fields and such up, you're not going to be able to shoot anything.
Yeah, it generates way too much heat to get those things going. It's a great distraction, but you need it to be able to be shot at in order for it to be a distraction.
So that crab needed 7s, if I read that right on the Hermes.
That is correct. Sevens across the board for all four of its weapons. That is not the number you want to see if you're that Hermes pilot.
I mean,
Or
I'm watching this days after the event, and my heart's racing seeing that.
yeah, sevens on the Night Chanter with the large pulse probably wasn't worth taking shots. Oh, actually, I don't think you can hit him with anything else. Everything else is torso or right arm mounted. So it's probably going to be another large pulse from the Night Chanter Prime number 2 coming his way.
Which probably is hitting on 7s if, everything matches. Oh, here we go.
Uh, Hussar missed the rear shot on the crab. Crab only hits with the medium laser and the small. Ooh, that is a saving grace. But
Oh my goodness.
ooh, okay, the Hermes tears into the back of that crab, double tapping the center torso rear, going internal but not getting any crits. Wow, the Hermes, oh, before the kick, anyways, survives the onslaught. That was a lot less scary than I was anticipating it to be.
And it lost its armor, but it didn't fall over, and the leg is not destroyed. So that was worth the payoff. Good move, Sam.
Yeah, he gambled and he won. Uh, I don't know if he's going to gamble again next turn because the house usually always wins in the long run. So you need to get out of dodge with that Hermes this turn.
Well, he needs to win initiative to do that again, and he didn't. So now he's stuck next to 3 very, very angry crabs, including 2 super crabs.
Yeah, and he used his mask that turn to get out there. So he's going to be a little bit slower this turn unless he wants to risk that 5, which I would not take that risk surrounded by 3 angry crab mechs this turn.
Well, the other way to look at it is, yeah, go north, go north. Oh, I can't make it. Is
He's got to use his mask to make it there.
Well, set yourself up so that next turn you can use mask to repeat the exercise, or do something where you're baiting those crabs into doing something, or you have a lot of intervening terrain on this map. Try to use that.
Yeah, I'd have liked to see him just continue going toward Luke's edge and get behind that level 6 hill that's over here on the left. If he moves 2 hexes up, I think he's perfectly safe. I don't think the crab can get to him. Yeah, I think there's too many forests, and he's got to go up elevation. I don't think he'll be able to shoot at him from there. Now, one thing to note, and a cheeky little thing that you can do with these light mechs that have a one skill pilot, uh, you can drop prone at range if you don't have any shots. Like if you would have moved that Hermes one hex less on that very first turn, or the because the Hermes can't shoot anything at that range. It's only got 369 on those medium lasers. He could have dropped prone, given himself a +2 to be shot at range, and since he's not shooting anyway, it's no harm, no foul. And then when he goes to stand up next turn, you have to make a piloting roll, but your piloting is 1, which means you automatically succeed.
So not only that, but you're correct. You can hide. So if you wanted to about 7 hexes to the left, you start getting into some level ones. There's one right towards the bottom of the map. You could go hide down at the bottom left of the map there.
Yeah, I'd be a little worried about where you choose to hide because that crab can chase you. It's not slow. It can definitely get there. But if you go somewhere in your running speed, because you're definitely not planning on firing this turn, you can just get out of dodge. Unless he is planning on firing this turn and he's moving his other mechs to find an opening.
So if he was to go west and up a little bit into to Luke's deployment zone, there's a level 1 ditch there. That crab can't get to an adjacent hex running.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly a perfect spot to go.
Oh, Hussar, are you going to take the bait and go behind that crab? Or that Night Chanter?
No, I think he's gonna stay behind that level 1 cover.
It's not level 1, it's 2 levels. Because it's a level... Oh no, it's level 1, you're
Yeah,
right.
no, yeah, it's level 5 from level 4.
I apologize.
No worries. Yeah, I'd like to see him take the cover because he's already taken a leg shot instead of going into that forest. He's counting out his hexes, seeing how much of a movement modifier he'll get. So he might be at a +4 there, but I think going down, well, actually, that's not a bad play, realistically, because now he's at a further range from that crab. Let's see how Luke counters. He just moves the other Night Chanter up.
That's probably a good move because his medium pulse laser is probably in short range there.
Oh, okay. All right, Sam. Going for broke here. Double or nothing. Looks like he wants to run right into the rear of that Night Chanter that he shot in the rear last turn with the Hermes and give him another taste of medium lasers in his rear arc.
You
That
know,
means he's got to go for the mask roll, though, if he does that.
no, he's redoing it, but then he's moving less hexes. And you know what? You can't hear it, but I can hear it. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, he's only at 9 hexes there. He wants to hit 10. He can run for 14. If he does a little bit of a wiggle, he might be able to make it happen somewhere.
Well, I mean, technically, he could run almost literally anywhere on the map, so he could probably run in front of that crab and turn around behind it.
Yeah, that's also true. It's not a bad idea. If he just goes down south one more hex, that'll be 10. And he's got the perfect line to get the rear shot and the kick without any rebuttal from that Night Chanter.
But then turn so that you don't have your rear facing that other Night Chanter.
Exactly. He should have the running speed to do it. There you go.
There you
Perfect.
go.
So he'll have the +4 movement modifier, and he'll be in the rear arc of that Night Chanter. I can only assume that Luke's just going to move that crab right into the rear arc of the Hermes.
I mean, I would, because realistically, you only need like one medium laser to hit to go internal.
Yeah, and you're likely not going to hit that Hussar, even with your sniper ER larges, or that Spectre that's ridiculously far away with his nonsense light polarization.
Well, that Hermes is still 444 on the rear torsos, so it's I mean, it's still going to go internal with the medium laser, but it's not going to like completely cripple the mech.
Oh, the crab's got ER larges, so that'll do
Oh.
9.
Well, okay, so it's got five. No, sorry, it's got 7, 10, 7 on the internals. So if you were to do 17, or sorry, if you were to do 14 to the rear center torso, you kill it.
Ooh, and if he double taps the rear center torso with that crab, I'm 90% sure he's on the rear arc there, where he's at currently. That might be short range for those ER larges, maybe medium. In which case, he should have moved up a little bit closer to get into short range if he's not in short range. Might have been a
Uh,
bit of a misplay.
maybe he's
Maybe.
trying to walk, but those ER larges might be in short.
Yeah, and that's those are the important weapons. We'll have to take a look. I mean, the proof will be in the target numbers that he needs to hit. So Hussar also firing on the same Night Chanter, maybe trying to get him to help guarantee a piloting check because they are 3/4s, so there is a chance.
Now, fun fact, the Night Chanters are not on Flex Sheet, so this is definitely a relatively obscure mech besides the point we talked about with the era. Does that thing have a, it's just a standard engine. No, it's an XL engine, so it's a,
No, no, the Night Chanters are standard.
oh, I'm sorry, I still have the Hermes pulled up.
Yeah, all these crabs are all standard engines, so you need to hit that center torso in order to put them in the ground. Granted, you do get points for crippling, but oh, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Uh, there goes the right leg on the Hermes. That is a death sentence. If it's not outright destroyed this turn.
Hold on, pause that for a second. So, one thing I noticed was I don't think I play this way in real life, so I just learned something tonight. So, right leg was destroyed. 2 damage transfers to the right torso rear. It doesn't transfer to the front because he's shooting into the rear.
Correct.
Did not know that. All right, sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but the Spectre hit the one crab, plinked it, but that one I was just talking about was the crab, the royal variant, hit the Hermes in the rear, blew off the leg, and transferred to the right torso rear.
Yeah, he only needed 6s on that crab, which is not what you want to see. That's Hermes bait right there, putting that rear arc of your other crab, or your other Night Chanter, uh, and it's now a death sentence for that poor little Hermes. Luckily, he decided to fire on the Hussar instead of pouring all of his fire into the Hermes, and he whiffed all 3 shots. It looks like I want to see the fire for the Hermes.
It might have to go back a hair because I think that's it was over fast.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he's got like 5 weapons on the Hermes, but uh, considering the crab was still standing at the end, here it is. Right arm, left leg. Oh no.
Oh,
Left leg, left leg. No, you got to be kidding. Nothing but arms and legs in the rear arc. Ugh. And he missed with the flamer and the small laser on 6s.
hmm.
So that is just not good luck for Sam there. He needed to nail that same torso that he hit the previous turn, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the center torso, which is the most likely spot to hit.
Well, now he's got one leg. And would you move your crippled mech that can only stand and face one direction first, or would you move him last?
Mm, considering it can't generate a TMM and there's nothing it can really do, granted, you have a 1 pilot, so you may as well go for the stand attempt. It's only going to be like a 5 or 6. So I think it's worth it to attempt it. And he does. I would say go for the Hermes first.
Okay.
He's not in forced withdrawal, so he can't eject him to save points.
Correct. So a quirk of NFL versus standard MRC in the NFL format, once your mech is crippled, rather than just waiting for him to be destroyed, you can eject and he just stays crippled.
Yeah, that would be kind of points denial at this point because there's nothing stopping him from turning around with all those crabs like he just did with the crab that took those rear shots last turn. and pummeling into that Hermes to try and put him down. Now, since the Hermes is basically out of commission, he's got to try and recover some points, and he's throwing the Hussar out into the mix. Gonna go for rear shots on the damaged Night Chanter, which I think he should wait and move that Spectre first before he goes for that play. Make him move the other Night Chanter that hasn't moved yet, or the Crab. Make him move one of those first before you decide to close. Because now Luke can just turn on your Hussar with that other Night Chanter.
So Crab's going to move into those woods, pointed at the Hussar to get the rear shot, and the other Night Chanter is probably just going to back up into those rough wood or rough section to turn and get a rear shot on the Hussar.
Exactly. And this is exactly why I think he should have moved to Spectre first.
Yeah, the Spectre is kind of out of position, and it's such a defensive mech at this point. If it's not going to get a rear shot on it, like we talked about earlier, it's just not going to do enough damage for the rest of the game.
Yeah. The Spectre is a real nice gimmick. I really like that play he made turn 2, where you leave the Spectre out there and you say, "Come catch me," and you hide your other mechs so that his only shots are terrible or non-existent. He has to basically close the distance on you while you poke at him with your large laser on your Spectre.
True.
So that was really well played from Sam. But now the Spectre's not really being used to its full potential.
Well, we called the one crab, the royal crab, moving into those woods already.
Yep. Oh, and he
Oh,
just runs the Spectre out.
well, maybe
Uh,
the Night Chanter wants to go play with the Spectre instead, given that it knows the Hussar's dead and the Hermes is dead.
yeah, I think the play here for Luke is you just run that crab into melee with that Spectre. That way you don't have to deal with any of his light polarization or null sig nonsense, and you just unload into him at point blank range and get a kickoff on him.
And he has the movement to go to the rear of that Spectre and turn to get a kick.
Oh, that is not good.
Or, hear me out, could throw a punch as well.
Yeah, but
One,
then you can't fire one of those ER large or one of your large weapons.
oh, right. Well, and I guess it's only doing 4 damage, so never mind.
All right. Oh, nope. He
Oh,
decides to go to the front right.
probably walked instead of ran then.
Yeah, wanted the lower targeting numbers, which is understandable. I mean, granted, the armor in the front and rear arc is almost equivalent. Okay, so now we're into the firing phase for round 5, it looks like.
That's going fast.
Yeah, it is. That's one thing I do like about the NFL or the Klondike 3-on-3 format. The matches go quick. I think my longest match was like 8 turns.
Which is part of why by week 4 we introduce hull breaches, and week 5 it's everybody moves really fast, and there's going to be a lot of hull breaches. So hopefully these aren't going to be 3-hour games every time.
All right, so let's get into the firing here. The Spectre needs 4s on the Night Chanter that's up in its grill. Nails the CT, left torso, and left leg. You're just shaving away at a big old block of cheese. You need to
Now,
get to the rear and get to the soft gooey center with these weapons.
now Mega Mech is always random, which is why this totally randomly went 6-7-7-6 on the rolls here.
Yeah, definitely. So the Hermes is unfortunately destroyed, as we all knew it would be after the last turn. The Night Chanter Prime #1 just takes him out and destroys his engine from the left torso rear, apparently.
So blows the leg apart, transfers upwards into the rear, 2 engine hits, and I guess he already had 1 on the other torso when that leg got destroyed. So what a way to go. It's not even cored out. You just died because you had so many engine hits.
It might be an Intersphere XL engine, so he was just straight up destroyed anyway. But look at all the damage he's taking regardless from these other shots. He
Yep.
was killed 4 times over.
Oh, he took 8. Did that say 8
8
engine
engine hits. Good
hits?
lord. How did it not blow up? He destroyed almost every engine slot possible. He's only missing one.
All right, Sam, you're scrolling too fast here.
All right, hang on. Let's go back. Okay, so there's the Hermes getting its 8 engine hits. Here's the Hermes returning fire. He nails a headshot on the Night
Oh,
Chanter, but he misses two sixes on the
sixes.
medium lasers. Oh no. I mean, you really need all these weapons to hit. When you're a 1-1 pilot, you're relying on your anemic weapons loadout to consistently hit. And the fact that he's missed quite a few sixes this turn or this game, not just this turn, is starting to swing the pendulum into Luke's favor a little bit more and more.
This sounds like a typical Clanner, Bachal request of I can fight upside down in my cockpit.
Oh, okay. And the Hussar is out of commission as well after this turn.
Mm,
He might be still on the table, but he's lost his ER large laser. So he's got no weapons. He's in
it-
forced withdrawal already.
but he's got no armor in the rear, but he has plenty in the front, which means this is now a charging machine.
Yep. You either charge or go for rear kicks because that's all you've got. And at this point, I think you'll do more damage on the charge. If you can get a rear charge, that's even better.
Absolutely. That's basically a lot of medium lasers.
Ooh, okay, look at that. He does nail that Night Chanter Prime #1 in the rear with the large
Oh,
laser, but he's one damage shy of coring it out from the rear. One
that's
internal structure
frustrating.
remaining. Yeah, it is. Oh, if that small laser and medium laser would have hit last turn in this, or one of those other hits that did hit the center torso rear instead of the arm or leg, he would be up a mech kill at this point.
Well, in the Night Chanter #2, it returns fire, misses on one large, but hits the head and gets the life support on the Spectre.
Ooh, 10 damage from that large pulse laser to the head is not feeling good.
Now, life support hits, that's if you overheat, you start having mech warrior piloting damage, right?
I think that might be an optional rule. I think if you lose both of your life support hits or both of your life support crits, I think the mech is just done because the
Yeah.
pilot can't breathe and he's got to eject or something like that.
All right, so he's looking at punch versus kicks here.
He needs to hit the torso. He's got one
Punch,
damage. You go for the punch.
punch.
You go for the Hail Mary here. Yeah, the kick's not going to win you this game.
Oh, let's see what we got.
Hussar kick. No, he kicked. Oh wait,
Oh,
what? No, he should have gone for the punch. If he would have hit the punch, he could have ended it if he nailed the center torso rear. Well, ended that mech anyway.
I think I saw a Night Chanter fell.
Uh, uh, maybe. Hey, actually, we'll see over in the map.
Yeah, we'll see in the map.
There's one jammed. Oh, there he is. Yeah, the kick actually made him go prone, so that's not bad. And it
So
looks like
he,
Sam.
he yeah, he's gonna flee with the Hussar. I guess he didn't know he could just eject if that was his intention to save points.
Yeah, you go for the eject here because that's the safe bet. But if he can get to that hex that he's aiming for, he'll be perfectly safe for the turn anyway. So he's going for getting off the map instead of ejecting, which is
Mm.
also viable, but ejecting is just a button and it's done.
Well, he could also init sync if he just wanted to kite and flip around the map a bunch of times.
That's
I don't
true.
I don't think that's his intention, but I do see okay, no, that's just the Hermes being splatted.
Yeah. I don't know if you go for broke and you just jump to the rear arc of that other crab with the Spectre.
Well, that Spectre's not really been hitting on squat all game anyway.
No, I mean it's still a 1-1 pilot, but he did hit with that large laser from downtown on like a 10 once, but nothing came of it.
And the Spectre doesn't have an active probe, so it's not going to get the -1 to hit any of those crab.
No. So he's going for the jump to the rear arc of the prone crab, if he's in melee range of the prone crab, he will get that -2. So it's worth it to go for that jump.
Did that crab even move yet?
I think it kind of had to.
He wouldn't have jumped there if he did.
Yeah, it had to have moved because the only thing, because he's already moved both of his units, which means Luke has to have only one unit left,
True.
and it's that crab that's lit up currently.
Yep, because front-loaded initiative is on.
Yeah, and the crab, as you know, the obvious, as we like to say, toward the end of these matches, the turns kind of play themselves out. The crab moves up to melee with the Spectre, which I knew we know that's the obvious move. And it's right now it's all the Spectre. Whether or not the Spectre can survive all these shots and find that center torso rear on that Night Chanter that is prone immediately in front of it.
And I would at this point turn off the null fields and everything on the Spectre because you're going to be in short range. You're never going to use them.
Oh, what do we have here? Hang on.
Oh.
Hang on, let's see that again. Let's rewind the tape just a second there. Okay, so Night Chanter number 2, which is the one that's not on the floor, I do believe, nails the Spectre for a good bit of damage with the large and medium pulse. But the Spectre's rebuttal on the prone Night Chanter that's immediately in front of it, uh, let's get into it. Large laser hits, left torso rear, 2 internal structure remaining. Damn it. Hang on 1 second.
It's all right. The crab's out of the bag already.
Yes, it is. Let's get to our list here.
I
Oh,
don't
here
know.
we
You
go.
could just do search for the word cascading and it'll come up.
Here it is. The medium laser hits the Night Chanter in the left leg, which
Needs a
transfers to the
2.
left torso, which destroys the left torso, which blows it off, which then 3 damage transfers to the center torso and destroys the mech. It's taken 6 engine hits, and it rolls a 12 for engine explosion. Oh yeah, it needs a 2 on these shots, by the way, because A, he's a 1 pilot, and B, the Night Chanter was prone and did not move, which
I
means
can
those are auto hits.
I can hear that Viper screaming 700 years in the past.
Oh yeah. The only bad thing about this is he's immediately adjacent to this exploding mech. Let's see how bad he gets the Bozak. He takes
Oh,
22 damage. Doesn't look like any goes internal, but the Royal Crab also takes 11 damage from this explosion. Nothing going internal on him, but that is far more devastating for that Spectre of Sam's than it is for Luke's Crab. He can weather 11 damage, no problem. 22 damage on that Spectre is like a third of the armor profile.
he doesn't have any more center torso armor now.
No, or left arm armor either. He is getting shaved down to almost nothing. So that's before the Crab 27B even fires. Luckily, he misses 3 out of 4 sevens. So some luck is coming back his way a little late in the game. And he hits him somewhere where he's actually got some armor remaining.
Well, and you know that Spectre's luck stays because it kicks the crab, but it avoids a kick from the crab in return.
Yeah, the crab missed a 6. And yeah, good. You kick the crab because that's your only target now that the Night Chanter's gone. So at least Sam's on the board with some destruction points.
Mm-hmm.
It's what 2-3 right now, I think.
This is a far more aggressive game than I was expecting it to be.
Oh
Damn.
yeah, with lights, these games go quick. You either win fast or lose fast. There's no in between. Round 6 or 7, sorry, and they're down to 1 mech and 2 mechs. Because I guarantee you that Hussar is going to flee this turn, unless it runs up to the north just to sink initiative for another turn.
It's a feint, and he's coming back with a steel chair.
It is Luke's turn to move. It could be a feint, but the Hussar has no weapons, which means he's got to charge or just run into melee and kick something. Oh, he moves the crab back 1 hex.
He's fleeing him though for point.
Yeah, he is. Ah, boo, boo.
That's okay. He took the honorable way of walking off the field under his own power instead of asking the salvage team to go pick up his mech later.
Yeah, that's true. I can respect that. Actually, I can't complain. I actually ejected a mech in my match that I had
Oh, do
because
it.
it was a legged locust.
Do the Spectre, because I'm looking at that ECM field, which is a 6 hex bubble. That Spectre jumps 7. Jump behind the crab, the Night Chanter.
Exactly. That is the play, my friend. I think you've got to go for points because as of right now, you're losing by one. And
So
I was going to say, even if you take the loss, uh, getting more points so that way the loss is less devastating or is less of a margin, I think is the way to go here.
so he's lining up his shots, trying to bait the Spectre into one way or another. But I think jump behind that crab, hopefully get some center torso action. Best way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you get lucky and you crit out the engine through a 3 armor crit on the rear torso or something.
I
You got
wonder
to go for it.
Yeah, I wonder if Luke calculated the hex bubble for an ER large and knows that if Sam does move up there, he's in short range for ER large or something.
Maybe that could be it.
That'd be
You
one of
could
those
be setting
big
him up.
brain moves, but
I don't think an ER large short range is 7 hexes though.
yeah, watch it be like 17.
Oh, it's 8 hexes away. So even if it is 7 hexes, he's
Mm.
out by one because he is just that one hex row over from him currently. Oh, nope, he's going to play it safe. He doesn't want to expose himself to any fire. Although if he goes there, he
Um,
will be shot at by that Crab 27B. I think he needs to go for the rear of that Night Chanter.
I'm agreeing with you on that.
Or bare minimum, you go for the rear of the regular Crab.
He doesn't have anything that can punch through unless he does hit with the large laser, and it also does go internal.
Oh, nope, he decided to go for the light cover.
Of the plays, that's the one I like least.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You're going to be trading sniper shots versus a crab. Granted, he probably does have his light polarization on, but did you see
Mm.
those numbers? 8, 8, 10. I think you take those trades all day if you're that crab because you'll win in the long run. So yeah, crab nails him in the right torso. Spectre actually has a decent amount of fire hitting him back.
So he's playing the long game, trying to shave off the front.
Yeah, something to be said about limiting the amount of fire that you're taking, but I still think it would have been better for him to go for the rear arc of that Night Chanter. But
Well,
it's a different style of play. It's one that an aggressive player like you and I would see as not optimal.
I wonder if instead, because I didn't see him do it because we can't see all his screens, I wonder if that was a turn where he can't generate too much heat because it could kill the pilot from the life support. But maybe that's a turn where he wanted to sink a bunch of heat so that this turn he can do one of those crazy jumps.
That is true. Having zero heat before you jump into the rear of something is nice. That way you can fire as many of your weapons as possible. Or at this point where he's at currently, he could run into the rear arc of that night chanter. Granted, you want to jump so you get that extra +1 from your TMM. But if he can cover that many hexes, I think it might be worth it.
So yeah, he's got a medium laser in his left arm, large laser in the right. I was trying to see if there would be a reason to punch instead to hit that upper table, but he'd only be doing 4 damage on a punch. So unless he had the center torso whittled down a bit more, no reason to.
Yeah, that's only for a Hail Mary. Oh, look, he's just outside of short range. Oh, hey, short range is 7 hexes for a ER large laser. What do you know?
It's still a 1-2 gunnery crab, so Don't expect too much savior grace from that.
Yeah. I mean, the Night Chanter needs 10, 8, 10, which means that crab is going to probably need two less. It's probably going to need eights across the board, at least on those larges.
Well, and he's got 7 more turns to sandblast one of these. But I just don't think he's gonna survive. Like eventually, he's gonna start getting rolled against tens.
Yep. Look, eights,
Hey,
eights, eights across the board on that other one. And now he's taking a crit on the engine. So now he's got even less firepower.
even worse, that Spectre's return fire. It looks like he missed all the important shots.
Oh no. He whiffed the large and medium. Oh, on sevens, mind you. And he's getting shot back, getting hit with
Oh,
eights, and he's in forced withdrawal. That may not have been his first engine hit.
well, no, it's because he's got exposed torsos now.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right. So he's got too many exposed locations.
So he's gonna begin fleeing off the field, I expect.
That way, he can at least minimize losses. Although, if you're me, oh, he lost initiative, so he doesn't really have much of a choice this turn. But I would aim for a rear arc if he decides to move the Night Chanter up to try and get a shot on him next turn.
Hmm.
But if he plays conservatively, he'll pull that Night Chanter back so he doesn't risk his rear arc being exposed.
Well, I think he moved there. He's going to jump next turn into the ditch where there's a bunch of level 2 cover. Oh,
Whoa, whoa,
oh,
whoa, hang on.
oh,
Okay, all
oh.
right. He goes up into point blank range with that Night Chanter. I forget these things are quick at 5'8".
Yep.
So here we are, round 9, firing phase. Oh, looks like the Spectre hits the Night Chanter, but not enough damage to go internal anywhere. He's shaved him down to 2 armor remaining in a leg, 2 armor in an arm, 8 armor still in that left torso.
Through armor crit, still no magic.
Yep, can't catch a break, and I think that's it right there. The Night Chanter returns fire. Large pulse laser destroys our left torso. Section destroyed, limb blown off. And then that's it. Destroyed by engine destruction. There must be an Intersphere XL engine in that mech because that is game.
It is, yes, it is an XL engine.
And he already took an engine hit previously, so that's his fourth engine hit actually with the torso going.
Just shows that that Night Chanter is no joke. There's a reason it's popular besides looking evil and sounding mean as hell.
And being a crab.
Yeah, and being a crab, it's damn.
Yeah, so well played to Luke there with those Night Chanters. That was a brutal match. Unfortunately, I think the luck went a little more Luke's way that time around. Sam missed quite a bit of sixes, and even when he did hit in the rear arc, he hit a lot of legs and arms. I've been right there before, buddy. Hitting arms and legs in the rear arc 3 turns in a row is not fun, but it is what it is. You can't
So,
guarantee torso hits on the rear arc.
so I take back a little what I said about play styles at the start of this match. That was a very, especially from Sam, that was a highly aggressive match, and it definitely was a different style than I was expecting to see from either player.
Yeah, I looking back, I like that first gamble that he took with the Hermes, where he
Yes.
just threw him out there, got a rear shot off, and had such a high TMM that he was really hard to hit. And even if they did hit, he should weather the storm. That Hermes is decently armored for a light mech. I don't like that he decided to go double or nothing the immediate turn after.
Yeah.
That's what did him in.
There's probably something about mind games of collapsing and then expanding outwards and then collapsing in again for another rear shot, especially mind games. Like if you can get into the rear arc of your opponent once, kind of spooks them that they know you can do it again, especially if it was unexpected the first time.
Yeah,
But
especially if you did some damage to the rear torso and they're like, oh, I can't take that again. That's not going to be good. I'll be internal next time.
Yep, but I agree with you that it's hard not to because Call of the Backshot is definitely a you know lustful thing, but you definitely want to set up the next turn, not attack again.
Yeah, I agree completely. I'd have liked to see him fall back with that Hermes, not necessarily back to his side, but continue going west on the map and just get to some cover where they can't get to you. That way you can reset and come back out next the following turn with your mask and get another shot in the rear arc that they can't avoid because you can move half the damn map.
Exactly.
I will say I liked the Spectre. I like the idea of it. I think he could have executed it better in the mid game. Toward the end there, I think he was using it properly. I would have liked to see that Spectre dancing around medium range the entire time, getting shots off. There were a couple turns where you only got shots off with that large laser. You need to all the weapons that you bring in this light list. You need to bring them all to bear every turn that you're exposing yourself to fire.
Yeah, I like that Spectre as a objective grabber or as a first turn distraction, but it it seems like a Griffin. I don't like the Griffin either because the Griffin jumps around and snipes, but that means its target numbers are terrible at long range and jumping. So the Spectre, I think, kind of suffers from that same issue of, yeah, you have all these defensive modifiers at range, but then you don't really have any punch at range either.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's a 1-1 pilot, but it's still not enough punch to back it up to make it worth it, especially at 2,500 battle value.
Yeah. So I think, that's his most expensive mech. He might have needed to take it just to clip over. No, he's at 60.
He's at 6,900 even.
Yeah, okay. So he could have taken something else too, but it's good to take different mechs. But yeah, I think maybe that one will do good on week 3 for the Underwater King of the Hill match.
Oh
That'll
yeah,
do, and it'll do good on week 4 as well with its active. No, it doesn't have an active probe.
no,
It
I
has
think the Hermes does or the Hussar, one of those.
the both of those do, but it has the Guardian, so you might be able to jam other active probes. But it'll be good to support later missions. But on the first one where we're just doing 3-on-3, it's going to struggle, and it kind of showed. Now, Justy's PC tried to stand and rolled another set of boxcars and blacked out. Let's look at some random facts here in the meantime. This map, Deployment Zone, first came out in the Clan Invasion Kickstarter in 2019, along with a bunch of other maps which are absolutely terrible to play on if you're Jesty, but I kind of like them, like River Delta and Cochise Valley. Deployment Zone is neutral, but all the other maps are part of a specific clan. The Hussar is apparently one of Star League's most popular recon mechs, but realistically it looks like a anemic crab. They stuck the arms way too far out in front. They look like little pincers instead of actual battle arms. Often deployed to support Thorns, we can see why neither of those mechs make it very far after the Succession Wars. And apparently Lyran pilots call the Hussar's mortality rate excessively high because they train for stand-up fights in heavier mechs. Don't bring a light mech with an ER large laser to a Atlas fight.
All right. Yeah, it just crashed again.
Wow. All right. Let's just do one of those Adult Swim black screens where it's like, so this happened, so we called it.
Yep, that's pretty much what's going to happen. We can still do since Craig's still recording, I can always use the audio. Be like, well, we're having some technical difficulties, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and call it here. Great match, guys. Well played. See you guys next time.
Adios.